Sometimes you'll load in more than one data set into R and you'll want to be able to merge the data sets together. And usually what you'll want to do is match those data sets based on an ID. This is very similar to the idea of having a linked set of tables in a database like MySQL. So what we're going to be talking about here is data from this peer review experiment. And so this is an experiment that I was actually an author on. And so we collected data on people who submitted answers to questions like SAT questions, and then people who reviewed those answers and tried to decide whether they were right or not. And this was a model system for how the peer review system works in scientific studies. So what we can do is download the peer review data. The peer review data is actually available from my Dropbox account. And so we can get the reviews and the solutions from this data set. And so we download these two files. And so there are two data frames, one corresponding to all the SAT problems that were solved by people in the study, and one by all the people corresponding to all the times that those problems were reviewed. So we read them both into two data frames. So we can look at the reviews data frame, which has these variable names. So you can see one of the variable names for this data frame is solution ID, and that corresponds to the ID that appears in the solutions data set. You can see the solutions data set also has a problem ID and a subject ID. Those will be matched to other data sets that we're not going to be talking about in this particular example. So the first thing that we might want to use is the merge command to merge these data sets together. So again, if we look at the names of these two variables, we can use the solution ID in the reviews variable or data set and the ID variable in the solutions data set to merge these data sets together. So the important parameters to merge are X and Y, so those are two data frames. And then you can use either by or by.x, by.y to tell merge which of the columns it should merge by. By default, it merges by all of the columns that have the common name. So for example, in this data set, it would try to merge by ID, start, stop, time left, and so forth, because those variables also appear in solutions because ID is here, start, stop, and time left, even though those variables might not necessarily mean the same thing. So what we're going to do instead is tell merge which of the variables it should merge on. So it merges the reviews and the solutions for the X data frame. In this case is the reviews data frame. We're going to merge on the solution ID. And in the solutions data frame, we're just going to merge based on the ID. Here I'm going to tell it all equals true, which means if there's a value that appears in one but not in the other, it should include another row, but with NA values for the missing values that don't appear in the other data frame. And so we can look at the top of this new merge data set, and you can see now that the solution ID is now taken the place of the ID, and it's ordered by that variable. And then this ID variable is the ID variable that's left over in the reviews data set. So this is the reviews main ID that appears here in this data set. And so you can see that this has merged the two data sets together based on their common ID, so that then you can analyze it as one data set. The default, again, is to merge based on all common column names. So if you do an intersection of the names of the solutions data frame and the names of the reviews data frame, you get these four variables. And so if you try to merge without telling it what to merge on the basis of, it will try to merge on the basis of all those four variables. So what ends up happening is the ID variable will match up sometimes between the two data sets, but the start and the stop times won't necessarily match up. So what it ends up doing is it just creates a data frame that's larger that applies multiple rows, one for each row of reviews and each row of solutions. You can also use join in the plier package to join data sets together. It's a bit faster than merge, but is a bit less full-featured. In other words, it only can merge on the basis of common row or common names between the two data sets. And so you couldn't merge the two data sets we talked about just a minute ago because we need to merge by solution ID and ID, and join will only merge on the basis of ID, even though it's faster. So here's an example. I created two made-up data frames with a common ID identifier, but I've sampled them so they're in different orders. And so what I can do is I can join the two data sets together. It will join them by ID. And then I can use the arrange command to arrange them in increasing order by ID. And so you see I've arranged the two data sets together in that way. You can play around with these commands to see how you can join data sets together. The nice thing about the plier package, and the reason why I bring it up, is that if you have multiple data frames, it's relatively challenging to do it with the merge command. But if they have a common ID, it's very straightforward to do it with the join all command. So what I do is I create my 3 data frames in this case, and I put them all in a list. So one big list of data frames. So it's a data frame list with 3 data frames in it. And then I just use the command join all, which merges all of the different data sets on the basis of the common variables, in this case, ID. So that's a nice way to merge together multiple data sets very quickly. The R data merging page is very good, as is the plier page for merging data sets together. Before you start doing this intensively, it's worth paying attention to whether you're performing different kinds of joins, whether you're doing sort of left joins or right joins. And the best way to learn more about that is to go read about joins in databases. For example, here, this is the information about joining for SQL database joins.